Hello, my name is Janice Pearson, and welcome to my channel entitled Forward Movement. And today, if you're watching on New Year's Day, I want to wish you a very happy New Year. And if you're not watching on New Year's Day, I want to wish you a very happy new day because every day is a brand new day. So just letting you know that this is the very first recording of my channel, and I hope you enjoy the presentation that I have prepared for today, and it's entitled New Beginnings. And the whole purpose of my desire for this particular presentation is to kind of help alleviate some of the fear and anxiety that can be typically associated with New Year's resolutions, and to also cheer everyone on for having a great new year and for setting goals to help change and become a better person and become the best you that you can be. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and we will start the presentation. All right, as I said, the presentation is entitled New Beginnings. And my name is Janice Pearson, as I mentioned before. And some of the things that I hope to cover today is, first off, a little introduction to myself. And then, of course, we will talk about the beloved New Year's resolutions, which I don't know if any of you are like me. New Year's resolutions can be something that I have a kind of a love-hate relationship with. And then I'd like to spend a little bit of time around health and well-being and how that, and as well as New Year's resolutions and goal setting, applies to forward movement. And then we can review some of the takeaways that hopefully you're able to glean from this presentation. So by way of introduction, again, my name is Janice Pearson, and I have a bachelor's degree in public health with an emphasis on health promotion. I'm also a certified health education specialist, a certified intrinsic health and well-being coach, a national board certified health and well-being coach. And I also provide one-on-one personal health coaching through my private coaching business, Painted Quarter Intrinsic Solutions. And at the end of this video, there will be a link to how you can contact me if you would like those one-on-one personal health coaching opportunities. So the purpose of this channel, the reason that I wanted to start this channel, is because through my training as an intrinsic health and well-being coach, I really want to emphasize what the intrinsic is and what it means and how to tap into our intrinsic value and how to recognize it. And with the intrinsic, we can find greater clarity. And so I want to help others discover their own health and well-being that makes sense to them, and that they might be able to find clarity around the things that they're wanting for themselves. And then I also want to offer various resources and guidance for those who are interested in forward movement in their life. So here we are, New Year's resolutions with a big question mark. To resolve or not to resolve? Isn't that the question? So as I kind of shared before, New Year's resolutions are not my favorite thing, and they haven't been my favorite thing. I usually don't set them. In fact, I try to avoid them. And I've typically, like I said, I typically don't set them. And you might ask yourself why, and maybe this is the same reason that you experience, but I don't want to fail. I am not one of those people who are risk takers. There are many different personality types, and unfortunately, risk taker is not my personality type. However, the problem with never failing and never allowing yourself to fail is that you never move and you become stagnant. And I'm sure all of us are familiar with stagnant things and stagnant people. If you think about a stagnant pool of water, It's not very inviting. It's not something that you want to jump in to on a hot summer's day to cool off. Stagnant water is typically covered in algae, and sometimes it even doesn't smell very well. And now if we apply that to people, stagnant people don't necessarily physically, they're not physically covered with algae, and they don't physically smell, but they're not exactly the most fun people to be around. So if we want to not be stagnant, we need to move, which means that we may have to face some hardships and some failure in our lives. So that brings us to the crux of New Year's resolutions, which are goals. When we set New Year's resolutions, we're basically setting goals for ourselves to accomplish through the year. And I know that's very intuitive. Most people understand that. But what I was hoping to do with the definition of a goal is to break it down into a very simple form that, again, might help people to not be so anxious about thinking about and setting goals. So what are goals? Essentially, goals are steps. They're steps in the direction of what you're wanting for yourself. That's really all they are. They are just steps. And why are they important? Well, if you think about steps in a direction, can you arrive at any new destination without directions? Of course you can't. So we need directions to be able to arrive at a new destination, which is the outcome of our goals. Our goals take us into new direction and new destinations. So what are directions? They are steps to take to get us where we want to go. Now, goals, they don't have to be big. They can be as big or as small as you want them to be. You'll laugh at this one. I'm going to share a New Year's resolution that I made years and years ago when I was, I don't know, I was probably in my mid to late 20s. And I had set a New Year's resolution to brush my teeth twice a day. Now you might think that doesn't make me sound like a very hygienic person, but that's not true. I would always remember to brush my teeth in the morning before I left for the day, but at night, I would typically want to just fall into bed because the day had been busy or whatever. I'm sure many of you can relate, and you just don't want to worry about anything. You just want to go to bed because you're tired. And so I often wouldn't brush my teeth before bed. And I was beginning to have some periodontal issues, and I knew that if I took better care of my teeth, that would alleviate the problem. And so I decided to go ahead and set a goal. And that was the only goal I set that year. So that tells you that your goals don't have to be big, and you don't have to, make a bazillion goals for a New Year's resolution. So there's a happy ending to that goal story. I was successful in that goal, and I was able to improve my oral hygiene by setting that simple yet effective New Year's resolution. So now I'd like you to consider this following quote when you think about the size of goals, how goals don't have to be big. They can be small, they can be personal. They don't have to be like anyone else's goals. They can be very unique to you. This is a quote by Elder Dieter F. Uchtdorf, who is an apostle in the Quorum of the 12 Apostles for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he gave this quote in the October 2021 General Conference for the church. As our days go, so go our lives. One author put it this way: a day is like a whole life. You start out doing one thing, but end up doing something else. Plan to run an errand, but never get there. And at the end of your life, your whole existence has that same haphazard quality too. Your whole life has the same shape as a single day. How many of us have experienced those feelings? I know A lot of times I feel that way about my life. It feels sometimes very haphazard, and oftentimes I have headed out to run an errand and never get there. He goes on to say, do you want to change the shape of your life? Change the shape of your day. Do you want to change your day? Change this hour. Change what you think, feel, and do at this very moment. A small rudder can steer a large ship. Small bricks can become magnificent mansions, and small seeds can become towering sequoias. So when we consider the size of our goals, we, again, don't have to build Rome in a day. That's a favorite quote of my husband, is Rome was not built in a day. And so we don't have to build our life in a day, but we do have to start somewhere. And the best place to start is just that very, very first step. We don't have to be a large ship overnight. We can just be the small rudder. We don't have to become a magnificent mansion immediately. We start with one brick, and we don't become a 2,000-year-old towering sequoia in one day. We start by a small seed. So now I just want to turn our focus to health and wellness, because that is, after all, my expertise, is helping people find what they're wanting around health and wellness. So on the left side of the screen, you'll see that health and wellness is more than just the absence of disease. And I hope you can take a moment and think about that. Health and wellness is not just exercising and eating right and trying to lose weight and going to the gym. That is one part of health and wellness. Health and wellness touches every single part of our lives. The very first bullet point talks about how health and wellness includes all aspects of physical, psychological, spiritual, and social well-being. So if your mental state is not healthy, then your overall health and wellness and well-being is not healthy. If you're not experiencing social well-being, then your overall health and wellness is equally affected. And the same is with spiritual well-being. If you are not experiencing a healthy spiritual life, that can affect your overall health and wellness. So health and wellness is multidimensional and holistic, and it involves self-directed and evolving process. It involves a self-directed and evolving process to achieve full potential. So that now shifts us over to the right side of the screen, which talks about intrinsic health and what intrinsic health and wellness is. Intrinsic health and wellness is health and wellness that matters to you. So now we can explore a little bit the definition of intrinsic, and the subsequent videos that I hope to include on this channel, I will explore this notion of intrinsic value, intrinsic health and wellness a little further. But just for the sake of this video, intrinsic is what is true, inherent, it's essential, it's not merely apparent, it's completely unique, it's absolute, it cannot be quantified or compared to anything else, it's not replaceable, it's irreplicable, and there is only one. And so that brings us to, you are intrinsic, because all of these qualities can be applied to you. You are true, you are inherent, you're essential, you're not merely apparent, you are completely unique, you are absolute, you cannot be quantified or compared to anything or anyone else, you are not replaceable, you are irreplicable, and there is only one. There is only one person in this entire universe that is exactly like you, and that is you. So actually, there's no one else that is exactly like you. So how does the intrinsic apply to health and wellness and developing health and wellness that matters to you? Well, intrinsic health and wellness involves intrinsic change. And intrinsic change is when your thinking leads to certain choices, and then your thinking changes so that different choices make more sense. So one thing about the intrinsic is constantly evolving and moving and changing for the better. Which brings us to how it's related to forward movement. Intrinsic change is forward movement because the intrinsic is always evolving and moving forward. So why is forward movement important? And there's probably many different ways to answer that question. You can think about that stagnant pool of water, and forward movement is important to that stagnant pool because it helps to clean it up. It helps to keep the algae from growing and keep it smelling fresh. And so if you think of that forward movement, how it has a forward movement can have a cleansing power, a cleansing element to it. So forward movement creates momentum, and momentum creates power. And what comes to mind when I think of, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of power is a hydroelectric power plant, which creates electricity. And where does this electricity come from? How is it generated? Well, it's generated by water molecules that are in motion. If you think about, if you just take water out by itself and you think about maybe a cup of water, it doesn't seem that impressive. It doesn't seem powerful, especially when you go back to that stagnant pool. It definitely doesn't seem powerful. But then, if you have ever been in the presence of a giant waterfall, say Niagara Falls or some of the giant waterfalls that are in Hawaii, or you don't even have to necessarily be there at the waterfall. If you've ever even listened to a video of a waterfall, what sound does it make? It makes a huge roar because it is full of power. It is the power of those individual water molecules rushing forward and crashing from the top of the waterfall down to the bottom in great majestic, and it makes a great majestic sound. And I think all of us would agree that that is great power that is unleashed by that moving water. Well, you have that same latent power within you to move forward and reach any destination that you're wanting to reach. And so you have power within you. And the only way that you can unleash that power is by moving forward, by creating forward momentum and moving forward. So power then leads to confidence and clarity. When we are moving forward and accomplishing things, then we have the confidence that comes with self-mastery, with mastering things that we've set out to do. And the more we have these mastery experiences, we gain, again, more confidence, and we also gain more clarity. Clarity in the directions that we want to take, clarity in the things that we're wanting, which leads us to the next point, which is direction. Confidence and clarity lead to direction, as we just spoke. And then finally, clear direction leads us to our desired destination. So I want to kind of go back to this notion of direction, and I want to just kind of give a caution about having excessive worry about the direction that we are headed. So if we go back to the very first point, which is forward movement that creates momentum, and then the momentum creates power, and this power leads to confidence and clarity. Sometimes we can get kind of caught up in worrying, okay, now I'm moving forward. I don't know which direction to take. I don't know if I should move in this direction towards this particular study in school. Should I take this new job? Should I marry this person? There's lots of different decisions that we run into where we worry about the direction that we are taking. And I just want to take you back to the notion of forward movement and how the forward movement is really the key and the essential point that we need to focus on. And I like to use the analogy of a car. We all can recognize that when a car, racing down the road, it has great power and it is going, it definitely has forward movement and forward momentum. And we've even felt that momentum as we ride in a car. You can even think about an amusement park ride, a roller coaster. As you are riding a roller coaster, you definitely can physically feel the forward momentum of that roller coaster. So now that we've talked about a moving car, let's consider a parked car. What's the difference between a parked car and a moving car? They both have the same, I think we would all agree that they both are capable of great power and that they both can take us to our desired destination. However, the power within that car, the parked car, will never be unleashed, nor will it take us to our destination unless we step on the gas and start moving. So now, think of that parked car again. How is it easy to turn the wheels, or right, is it easy to turn the wheels of a parked car? And I don't know if any of you have tried to do that. Sitting in a parked car, trying to turn the wheels while you're just sitting on pavement is very difficult and very hard to do. Now, think about how easy it is to turn the wheels of a moving car. Now, assuming that this car has power steering, for those of you who are as old as me and have experienced driving a car without power steering, how easy is it to turn those wheels of a moving car? Well, it's much, much easier to turn the wheels of a moving car. So once that car is in forward motion, the wheels turn effortlessly and often with just the touch of a finger. So again, forward movement is the key. So when we feel stuck or unsure, if we can just take one step, regardless of direction, we will have unleashed the power within us. And then we will also unleash that forward momentum. So if our direction, well, here, I'm sorry, go back. So now remember how easy it is to turn the wheel once a car is moving. If our direction turns out to be an error, we can correct our course much easier if we were already in motion. So think about that. Again, your parked car and those wheels sitting on pavement. And if you want to go to the right, it's very difficult to turn those wheels. But if you just start putting your foot on the gas and moving your car regardless of direction, then it's easy to move your wheel in whatever direction. And so really the forward movement is the absolute key to unleashing the power within us. So now the last point that I would like to emphasize is the magic of 3. 3 is a number that has many different symbolisms. And I just kind of want to explore some of those and what is associated with the number 3. 3 is a number of the divine. If you think about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, that is a number of 3, the sun, moon, and stars. And 3 also represents perfection. 3 is also a number of time. Think of birth, life, and death. That cycle comes in 3 parts. We have past, present, and future. And we also have beginning, middle, and end with respect to things of time. And then probably my favorite association to the number 3 is that it is a number of simplicity. 3 items are easily remembered and 3 items are manageable. And so when contemplating your New Year's resolutions or goals or whatever direction you would like to take this new year, I hope that you will keep in mind the magic of 3. I know with me, I love only having 3 things to think about, because I know that I can remember 3 things. I have at least 3 fingers. I can put ribbons on my fingers or whatever I need to do. to help me remember those 3 things that I need to do. And I also feel like it is manageable. It doesn't feel unmanageable. It's a nice, simple number. So if we cannot fall into the trap of long lists or steps that are easily abandoned due to their complexity and apply the number 3 to our New Year's resolutions, I think we will find that we will be much more successful and have less anxiety and actually believe that we can accomplish the changes that we are wanting for ourselves in the new year. And I would also suggest that, or for example, for when you're thinking of the number 3 and any kind of goals or resolutions that you're setting for the new year, I would suggest or invite you to just choose perhaps 3 areas of focus and then maybe set goals to accomplish them over a 3-month period. And this recipe tends to be, again, much more successful in being able to accomplish what you set out to accomplish, because you can remember the things that the goals that you've set, and also this number is manageable. I don't know about you, but I also hated to-do lists just about as much as I've hated New Year's resolutions. And I have only started using to-do lists probably in the last, I don't know, couple of years. Because in the past I would, include way too many things on my list, and then I would feel overwhelmed, and I wouldn't get any of them done. And then I would also feel like I didn't succeed in my day because I wasn't able to check everything off. And so that's why long lists of things to do can really thwart our forward movement and our ability to accomplish the things that we set out to accomplish. So finally, the takeaways that hopefully you've been able to gain from this discussion, and the things that I felt that were most important, is to always remember the power of forward movement. Remember that power that is generated by water, just simple water that's moving forward. And it's also cleansing. Think about the power in a moving car and how it can carry you to your destination as long as it is moving forward. And then also try to remember that health and wellness is more than the absence of disease. Health and wellness encompasses every part of your life, and that there are many facets to health and wellness. And that, again, it is not just diet, exercise, losing weight, and going to the gym. Also, if you can remember that you and your health and wellness journey are intrinsic. And as you're remembering that your health and wellness applies to your entire life's journey is intrinsic, meaning it's unique. It is completely yours and yours alone. It is not comparable to anyone or anything else. And again, it is your journey and shouldn't be compared to anyone else. And your experiences are your experiences. No one else experiences the same things exactly the way you do. And that's the beauty of it, because you are the only person like you in this entire universe. And then finally, if you can remember that 3 is really a magic number, if you can remember to keep your goal focus to only 3 areas, and over a 3-month period where you can check in and measure your progress, then it helps to alleviate that anxiety and it keeps you on track. So I just want to thank you for listening to this presentation, and I've included my email address as well as the link to my National Board Health and Wellness coaching site, where you can schedule one-on-one coaching if that is something that you feel would be of interest to you. So again, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you will return back to this channel for more tips and more ideas and information about the importance and the power of the intrinsic and the power of forward movement, and how it doesn't have to be huge steps. It's one step at a time. And I know, we hear these things all the time, and they seem so simple that I think, we might tend to just dismiss them. But there is real power in taking one step at a time, because you are moving forward. It doesn't matter the speed. And again, it doesn't matter the direction. As long as you are moving forward, you'll be able to move in a direction that you want to go. So again, thank you for watching, and please like this video if you found it interesting. Please share it also if you know of anyone that would benefit from it. And also please subscribe if this is something that is interesting to you. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a fabulous, wonderful new year, and I will hopefully chat with you in the next video.